Yo, JD here. And in this video, I really just don't have many words anymore. I'm not really go scripted of this. Haven't really written any notes. I'm just gonna go off on what I really think and what I've been told, and that is to do with F1 Esports. If you haven't been living under a rock the past month or so, and we did have an event one for F1 Esports. This was held in Sweden, and despite most of it being very, very sloppy, there was no announcements, a bit of a car crash in terms of an event, really. We actually did get some racing at Bahrain, and no, the racing was entertaining. The qualifying was entertaining, and at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants to see. They want to see the 20 best drivers on the game going head to head against each other in equal machinery. It was held on the LAN. The arena was very impressive, and no, I enjoyed it, and I was just thankful we managed to get something underway. But if you didn't watch the last kind of 10 seconds of that live stream, which they didn't announce, by the way, you wouldn't have known that there was actually event 2. That was meant to be starting this Friday and Saturday, so the 15th and 16th of December. This was known as the North American Championship, so it was going to have Texas and Las Vegas as the tracks, full qualifying with a 50% race. And yet again, there has been absolutely no announcements, no marketing, no social media posting from F1 themselves. The only marketing has been actually from the drivers who've taken a bit of a screenshot of that broadcast from the event 1, saying at the last minute of when this event is going to be taking place. So even during event 1, I could see by the commentators and just the production, I don't think were very confident that event 2 was actually going to be going ahead. It was kind of just thrown in at the very end of the broadcast. So, yeah. But the big news is that this event 2 that was meant to be held this week has now been cancelled. And it hasn't really come from F1, the official source, or EA, Codemaster, or anyone whatsoever. It's been pretty much leaked by the drivers and some other unknown sources that this event was meant to be held in exactly the same arena as event 1, so back in Sweden at the DreamHack expedition, with even some of the teams and drivers having already booked and actually made their way to the venue. So they've already paid for their travel, they paid for their own hotels, and no, they were getting ready to go. But late last night, unexpectedly, the event 2 has been cancelled. And from speaking to multiple sources behind the scenes, absolutely everyone is in the dark. They have absolutely no idea why this has been cancelled. They've had no communication. They've had quite a bit of time between event 1 and event 2 to get this sorted. And as far as they were concerned, they were going to be heading to Sweden today, Wednesday, as I was just speaking, and the event would be going ahead. And there has been no inkling that this event wouldn't be going ahead. But I think they were still waiting for confirmation that 100% it was. So I think they were kind of left in a little bit of a limbo, but then at the very last minute, it appears that the event is not going forward. And from the people I've been speaking to, it has nothing to do with the teams, it has nothing to do with the drivers, it has nothing to do with Codemasters or EA, has nothing to do with ESL, I believe, who are the actually organisers or the hosts of the event, the production team. It has all to do with Formula One management, aka FOM. And if you know anything about Formula One management, if you produce content on YouTube and you've been using the F1 game to record your own gameplay, you probably have at some times received a copyright claim from Formula One management. So they handle all of that side of the business of F1, making sure people are not infringing and not using their content. And it still amazes me that we are still getting copyright claims from the F1 game, despite Codemasters been working them for many, many years. And yeah, FOM basically just want to make sure that every single penny that F1 deserves, they are receiving. So yeah, you probably haven't had great experiences with them. But as the reason why FOM, from what I've heard, is to do with the cut of the revenue that they will be receiving from the events. They are still not happy with this prize pool. They feel it's too much. Despite the event 1, that was the reason why it was delayed in the first place. FOM and the teams just couldn't come to agreement with the prize pool. Formula One management felt like it was too high. They weren't getting a return of investment. And it seems to be that really this is the case once again. They feel like they are not going to get return of investment, or they're just not getting a big enough split off the profits. But now, again, if you're not marketing, if you're not advertising the event, then how can you expect a return of investment? And even if they don't get a complete return of investment, why not think about the long game? Think about the potential of this series, the platform it has, the audience it has. I just don't understand. An investment is something you don't get back straight away. It's something you get back over the course of a long period of time. And this is why my passion for not just F1 Esports or the F1 game, but even F1 itself, there are just too many politics nowadays, and it is simply about greed, how much money it can make. It no longer feels like a sport or passion. It just feels more like a business, and the agenda is just really completely in the wrong place. But as you can see, many of drivers have expressed their frustration on social media, some more so than others. And now my opinion on this is that I just cannot understand how a series with so much backing, the size of a platform it has, and the potential it has, can be allowed to be destroyed in this manner. I just feel incredibly sorry for the teams and the drivers involved, as quite frankly, a vast majority of these actually depend on the prize money to fund their expenses, fuel their salaries, because without this, they are completely out of a job. And I just find it unacceptable that we've had 11 months between last year's series and this year, and we have issues at this. I just find it completely unbelievable that it's even got to a stage. And not to mention, many of these drivers, even forgetting about the salary, they are sacrificing their lives. They're sacrificing full-time education. A lot of these drivers are dropping out of school, yet they are not even being paid a salary. They're dropping out of university. They're not going to university. Their social lives, real life opportunities to practice 10 hours a day without any reward whatsoever. And no, right now, if you're thinking about getting into F1 Esports, I would not think about sacrificing any of these until F1 Esports is kind of reconstructed, reset, and someone who actually knows what they're doing with the right agenda at heart actually gets hold of this series. Then I wouldn't really invest your time in it. And I wouldn't be surprised if F1 Esports for the next year or 2 years doesn't even happen, which I find absolutely bizarre. It's one of the esports that has the most potential behind it out of any esports in the world. You'd think it'd be impossible for it to actually go wrong. It'd be hard for it to go wrong at this stage. I just don't understand how it's been allowed to do so. And now imagine how people like Thomas Ronhaar feel, the guy who won the first event, and this series could just be cancelled altogether. There's no guarantee that he's going to be the best driver on next year's game. And in my opinion, despite the issues being with Formula One management apparently in this situation, not the developers themselves, I think F1 Esports just needs a complete reset of all the cogs of the wheel at this point. And whoever is involved from top to bottom, it just needs to be completely replaced. So I'm talking about the developer. I think Codemasters don't deserve the game license anymore. Whoever is managing F1 Esports on that side needs to be replaced. They need to be switching all the personnel in there. Formula One management shouldn't be associated with this at all. And despite it being the official F1 game, I think maybe giving it to a league such as PSGL or another organisation who is not directly tied to Formula One, give them a title sponsor, and I think they will be doing a much, much better job. And I know people have said for a long, long time now, made comments on my videos or even me receiving messages saying that I'm always very, very negative. And believe me, I don't want to be negative. The only reason why I am is because I've played this game, or I've played the official F1 game since 2010 at a very competitive level. I've been an F1 Esports driver myself. I've been an F1 Esports manager. And I feel for the amount of time that Codemasters have had this game for, it just hasn't been good enough. And for F1 Esports, Series 1, that finale was in Abu Dhabi. That was at a live racetrack. That was an incredible experience. That's somewhere I actually got to go in person. So I was actually at the very first event finale, and it was absolutely incredible. Ever since then, I think we have slowly been taking many steps backwards. And I'm going to say exactly the same thing for the game. Although certain years the game has been better than the previous, such as maybe 2018, 2020, since 2010. I think there have been some games that have been a little bit better than others, but even then, and again, you might say I'm being far too critical, and for people who are just new to this series, they probably find it a very good experience, and if you do, that's absolutely great. But I am going to speak my mind. I know there are a lot of people, a lot of content creators who don't want to say anything bad about the game because they want early access and they want all these privileges, and in a way I don't really blame them. But for me, I feel the amount of money that people are paying for, they have a right to know what the current standard of the game is, and I don't think it is a good enough standard, and I think it should be light years ahead in every department of the game. So in terms of its fundamentals, the immersion factor, the career mode, the online connectivity, bugs that still remain from years to come, and the communication between the developer and its community, I think is some of the worst I've ever seen from a gaming company. It is just absolutely appalling. So I believe the entire wheel and all the cogs within it need to be replaced if F1 Esports has any chance of reaching its potential. And like I said, I think the solution might be to have a league such as PSGL, WR, obtain a title sponsor where F1 Esports, we can have many more events throughout the year, so some being online, some being at a LAN, and then just simply take it from there. They're already closely matched with what the official F1 live stream actually does generate, because I think that was between 15 to 20,000 views, and I've seen about 15,000 live viewers on the PSGL stream. So if they had the backing from an organisation, a title sponsor, can put a little bit of investment in, I think they would be getting quite a bit back on their return of investment. And the way they already produce it, they do a far better job of giving the audience exactly what they want. So right now, I'm a bit at a loss for words, and like I said, it's a reason why my passion for esports and even F1 has dipped in recent years. I just feel there are far too many politics, far too much greed for money and incompetence that are really killing the potential of this series. And I think the biggest thing that I didn't mention actually until now is just the respect factor. There has been absolutely none for their audience, for their fans, for the teams, for the drivers involved. Whoever are making these decisions to result in these things happening, they never need to work in this industry again. They need to stay as far away from possible from running this series. A series that has so much potential, and they don't realize how damaging this is to the lives of the drivers and teams involved. They are sacrificing so much to be within this series, and the people making these decisions simply do not care. They do not care about the fans, they do not care about the audience, and I fear that they are too incompetent to realize the potential of this series. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.